It's John Bowden from Rock History Music, and today two special guests who played on the biggest soundtrack song of the 80s. At 1.4 billion views or listens on Spotify. This is an unofficial list. We're going to just go through some of these for you. As mentioned, this is an unofficial list of the biggest soundtrack songs of the 80s. Before we get to the two members of the band who created the biggest soundtrack song of the 80s, this is just a list we found. Coming in at number 10, Los Lobos with La Bamba. It is at 215 million streams. Ghostbusters at 365, that's Ray Parker Jr. Number 8 is Flashdance by Irene Cara, 410 million streams. Against All Odds is number 7 with Phil Collins at 472. Huey Lewis and the News, of course, from Back to the Future and The Power of Love. At 481, I've Had the Time of My Life, Bill Medley, Jennifer Warnes. That's at 489 million. Kenny Loggins has 2 on this list. Danger Zone from Top Gun is at 561 million. Number 3, Footloose by Kenny Loggins at 919 million streams. Number 2, Simple Minds. I was surprised about this one, pleasantly surprised. Don't You Forget About Me, Breakfast Club, of course, 979 million streams. And number 1, we're going to be talking to 2 of the 5 members who created that song. It's Survivor. Our special guest is Dave Bickler, an interview we did a couple of years ago. He was the lead singer, the guy in the beret, who was with Survivor for 4 albums, their first 4. And Jim Peterik, who co-wrote that song. And he said it was very easy. But Eye of the Tiger was number 1 for 6 weeks in the 80s. And as mentioned, 1.4 billion streams on Spotify. These are songs that, of course, stood the test of time. So a lot of people who are still listening to those songs were not around in the 80s. Lead singer Dave Bickler, co-writer, guitarist, keyboardist Jim Peterik on Rock History Music. Jim Peterik's musical journey began in 1964 when he formed the Ides of March in Berwyn, Illinois. Just 6 years later, the band would make a huge impact with their smash hit Vehicle. Released in 1970, Peterik's distinct guitar riffs and his unforgettable horn-driven arrangements catapulted the song to the top 10, establishing that band, the Ides of March, as a major force. After that success, Peterik's career continued to evolve. In 1978, he co-founded Survivor, where he became a powerhouse as a very prolific writer. Teaming up with guitarist Frankie Sullivan, he co-wrote the 1982 anthem Eye of the Tiger, one of the biggest songs of the 80s. It was a Grammy-winning song that was of course featured on Rocky III, and it became an international hit, one of the most recognized songs in rock history. Eye of the Tiger reached number 1 in the US and many other countries. American Heartbeat was the follow-up. It peaked at number 17. With Survivor, he also co-wrote a lot of other major hits. Burnin' Heart was a number 2 hit from the next Rocky movie, Rocky IV. And then came The Search Is Over. That reached number 4 on the charts. There were tunes like High on You, which rested at number 8. A number 13 hit, I Can't Hold You Back. And Is This Love peaked at number 9. Beyond his own bands, Peterik's songwriting talent stretched a lot further. He penned hits for 38 Special, including their 1981 song, Hold On Loosely. And 1 year later, Caught Up in You. In recent years, Peterik's continued with Ides of March, and he's co-written with Leonard Skinner, Black Hawk, Cheap Trick, Sammy Hagar, Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, Dennis DeYoung, REO Speedwagon. And Jim Peterik, he's still going strong. Certain songs that you were involved in that I, from first listen, I mean, obviously, Eye of the Tiger. What point did you know, or did someone tell you that this is like, get out of the way, we're coming through, this song's going to make it?
Well, it's really funny. I wrote 2 songs for Stallone, or co-wrote, and let me tell you, Eye of the Tiger was so easy, and the other one was called Ever Since the World Began, and I put so much passion into that one. And before my dad died, I played him Ever Since the World Began. He said, "This is really great." And I said, "Yeah, and I got this other one called Eye of the Tiger." You know, I mean, sometimes it's these songs that come so easy. And, you know, I remember sitting with Frankie right in the studio, and I was just going, and we're kind of like grabbing chords out of the air, and we just go. Wait for the punch, because scoring to the movie. We were lucky enough to have the actual rough cut of the movie that Stallone sent us. And so that really inspired us a lot.
Dave Bickler, best known as the former lead singer of Survivor, is an American musician with an incredible voice. He helped define 80s rock. Bickler was born March 31st, 1953 in North Dakota. He was in Survivor at the beginning in '78, and his very distinctive, gritty voice immortalized their biggest song. He was the guy in the beret, Eye of the Tiger. It was a track co-written by Survivor members Frankie Sullivan and Jim Peterik. 1982, Rocky III, and one of the biggest international hits of the 80s. It also earned the band a Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance. Bickler's tenure in Survivor included albums like Premonition in 1981 and, of course, Eye of the Tiger the following year. But he faced health issues in the early 80s, including issues with his vocal cords. That led to his departure from the band in 1983. He was replaced by Jimmy Jamison, who kind of looked like him and also sounded like him. And although Survivor continued to have many more hits after he left, Bickler's voice remained synonymous with that signature hit. In the following years, he continued to work in the music industry, and he gained notable recognition as the voice behind Bud Light's Real Men of Genius, an ad campaign which became a cultural phenomenon in the late 1990s and early 2000s. It was his memorable tongue-in-cheek delivery in these ads that added another layer to his reputation as a versatile and engaging vocalist. Bickler reunited with Survivor many times, even doing shows with his replacement, Jimmy Jamison, together. In 2018, he released his first solo album, an amazing record called Dark Light.
No.
And rightly so, right?
Yeah, I mean, and rightly so. I mean, of course, and because, well, we wouldn't be, you and I wouldn't be speaking together if it wasn't for Eye of the Tiger. It was, every band wants to get a hit single, right? I mean, just so you can get attention and keep doing it and get continue to be a musician or have the band stay together, because it's really hard, So success is also, but it's a two-edged sword, of course. Nothing like success to cause trouble. Eye of the Tiger it changed everything for the band, that's for sure.
When I talked to Dave Bickler a few years ago, he said, quite simply, John, brass tacks, you take everything away, you wouldn't be talking to me if it wasn't for Eye of the Tiger. He says that is, it begins, I mean, that's it. He says, if I can only hang my hat on singing one song, right?
Well, that's a great Bickler quote. And I love Bickler, and we still stay in touch. When I had a little health scare, he was the first guy to call me. This was a couple of years ago now. You okay? I said, yeah. In fact, I just did a show. He's good. And he's a dear friend.
Knowing what you know now, though, what would you be whispering in your ear as you go into the studio to record that song? Is there anything, because I ask every artist this question, and this seems a fitting place to ask you, what would you tell yourself?
What would I tell myself? I think that I'd be in that moment there and capturing that, because we had to come up with that very quickly. And I don't know what I would do differently as far as that. I would wish to myself to learn more about the music business. That's what I would tell myself. Nothing about the music, because I think it was the time and place, and it was the right thing to do as far as my treatment of that song, So I thought that was all. I think it's a stupid test of time.
You were just naturally doing what you do, right?
That's right. And, we had been working together quite a while, the band, so we were sort of a well-oiled machine, if you will, to make music. And yeah, we had to do it real quick, and I just did what I would normally do, and it had a certain swing to it, that you had to pay attention to. And it's very open, which is cool too. It's very kind of an open, sparse track.
By anybody off the street to sing Eye of the Tiger? Sing now. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh my God! If I had $5 for each time, I'd be a millionaire.
Really?
Because everybody, because they want to hear that, rising up, they want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys get to meet Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, we did. After we cut the track, he'd heard it and he thought, I think this is going to be good. We then went out to California because we wanted to get in the studio and make a record behind that and have Eye of the Tiger be, in an album. And so we went down to a studio in Santa Monica to look at the song against the film, and he came down, and really intelligent, really funny, witty guy. Very, very interesting guy.
I've met a lot of people who have met him, and they say he's not at all what you'd expect. He's an interesting man.
No, yeah, he's not Adrian. He's very articulate, very sharp. We've been listening to Journey and Foreigner and The Cars, and it just so happened that we got signed to that deal we signed with Scotty's, which was originally that they were distributed by Atlantic Records. That was John Colodner, famous A&R guy, who also signed Aerosmith and Foreigner as well. And so we were like, wow, the guy who signed those bands, but those are the bands we were listening to then,
Yeah.
And Toto, Toto.
By anybody off the street to sing "Eye of the Tiger"? Sing now. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh my God! If I had $5 for each time, I'd be a millionaire.
Really?
Because everybody, because they want to hear that, rising up, they want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Guitar in hand. I like to see that.
Always. Have a guitar, we'll travel.
You hold on to that guitar someday. I know you'll make it big. What the hell?
I'm gonna keep dreaming.
I tell you, man. I was telling my neighbor about you yesterday. I was telling him about, of course, Eye of the Tiger comes up, and I said, "Oh no, you just wait. This ain't no one-trick pony."
I have two tricks actually, but we'll talk about that. Yeah,
you got a lot of. Listen, I was just talking to Justin Hayward and John Lodge separately, of course, recently. I asked them something. I'm going to start with this. I said, guys, your age, I mean, you've got like 10 years on me, or maybe a little bit more. And they said, guys my age, they sit in rocking chairs. And they somehow have convinced themselves it's an idea. They've convinced themselves that now I can rest. And as my father would say, now I can die. He said, why the good thing about musicians is they know they want to be creative. You haven't forgotten, have you, why you started doing this?
Listen, John, I have never forgotten that, people say, what's the biggest hit you ever had? And I go, well, it's Eye of the Tiger, but maybe I haven't written it yet. I'm always trying to, beat that or equal it. And not only in quality, but in popularity. That's a tall order, but that's the goal. That's the mountain.
Well, how does the music come out? I mean, what is it? Like, are you lying in bed? Has it changed through the years?
No, it really hasn't. And it's funny you should say lie in bed. A lot of times I'll dream an idea, and I'm dreaming and it's a big hit, and then oh shit, wait a minute, I'm writing that, and I'll leap out of bed. Of course, I have a keyboard right by my bed and a tape recorder. A recorder, and I'll lay it down and I'll go back to sleep. And sometimes it's something, sometimes it's nothing. But out of those, little bits of inspiration, a lot will rise to the top and they'll become really good songs.
I know you're scouting new music, scouting artists all the time. And when they say new music sucks, it's a blanket statement that can be really insulting. I know it's not the same. I know I never wanted to be one of the older guys that goes, oh, that new music, I don't want to be that guy. What's your opinion of all that?
Well, there's still some good stuff out there, some great stuff, really. And I'm always listening and I go, that sucks, but that's really good. There's always always the gems that rise up. It's always been like that.
I come up to you and you're 16 years old and I'm, we're two guys hanging out and I'm asking you, okay, what do you want to do when you get out of here? What would you have told me?
Well, at 16, it was the very early days of, we weren't even called the Ides of March yet. We were called the Shondells. We had no master plan, really, except doing great shows, writing some new songs. And it's not like we're going to conquer the world kind of a thing, that happens. That just happens. As you develop, as you grow and you develop a following, you go, maybe this could last, and now almost 61 years later, it's lasting.
I say this for music too. You either like something or you don't. You're either into something or you're not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we've always stayed true to that, really. And, I'll be 74 in November. Everybody's a little bit older than me. Scott's the newbie. He's 64. Anyway, but we're still there and we're still vibrant.
Yeah.
We put on a show. And of course, now I got this thing called, what's the new project with the duets? The Power of Two. Yeah, and that's going to be coming out. Ron Nevison coming back in the fold. He produced the first and third album by Survivor, especially Vital Signs. That was, that's when I knew Ron Nevison's divinity, not only with Bad Company and all the other groups, We Just Disagree, and, all this other great stuff. But I knew Ron was a great arbiter of songs. I'd be writing a new song for Survivor. I'd be at the keyboards, and he'd be looking at me and go, try that chord there and that chord there. I said, Ron, it won't work. Ron will go, try it. Okay. It worked. He goes, no charge. And he'd walk away. And that's Ron. That's why he's producing our next record, my next record. So, and he's still rocking it. It's not just Bad Company. It's so many groups that he's produced. Look Ron Nevison up, and you'll see Dave Mason and so many. Just incredible.
There's a reason why some people, there's Keith Richards, but there's a reason why some people are still around and some people aren't. We've lost some great people, but in every industry,
I know. Rock and roll is an excuse for some for excess and all that. We never fell into it. It was never worth it to us. It was really about the music, and if we got together for a beer or something, that was a big time. But that was us, and there's a lot of stories of people that went to the other side, came back, and stood strong.
Yeah. What were your parents like? Were they supportive? How would you describe them?
Oh, they were super supportive. My dad was a musician. Well, he worked at like Western Electric, a telephone company, adjusting relays. But really, he was a musician. He was in a kind of a polka band called the High Hatters. And when I was old enough, I would go to High Hatters show. They didn't call them. They call them jobs, not gigs, jobs. And afterwards, I would hang with the guys, and they had a music stand with the High Hatters, and we'd go to White Castle. You know what White Castle is. And I would down like about 3 or 4 sliders and hanging with the guys. These are some of the best memories of my life.
Your story's not small. You've got a large story. So when you're in the doctor's office and someone looks at you and says, because you do look like a rock star, when someone says, what do you do? Almost expecting you to say it. If you say you're a musician, they're going to say, well, do I know anything you would have done? Do you go there? What do you do if someone asks you that question?
I usually stop and sing a verse of Vehicle. I've got no conscience. Oh yeah, watch this.
Well, why not?
Well, right. Or you go into a little, you ever hear this song? It's the eye of the time. Yeah, that was me. No shit.
If you want to support the channel, you can donate via PayPal. There's a link at the very top of all of our videos. Because YouTube income is like this sometimes, and then sometimes it's way down like that. There's no rhyme or reason why some of our videos do really well and some of them don't. And sometimes we have to really look at them and say, we've kind of used the same tools in all these videos. So yes, a donation would be welcome. You can join our Patreon. You'll get early access to all our videos. Lots of stuff on our Patreon that has not seen the light of day yet on our YouTube channels. Also, if you want a t-shirt or a cap or a coat with our logos on them, you can buy them at Teespring. There's a link in the description as well. But remember, if you subscribe press that bell notification, because not everyone is getting told. Like our almost 138,000 people who subscribe to this channel, they're not being told when a new video is coming out. So click the bell notification if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel. Comment on the videos, like them, and share them on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself.